And away we go. Monday edition of the show. All across America on SportsMap Radio. Worldwide, the SportsMap Radio app. Busy 3 hours ahead, as it always is. Mondays and Thursdays in particular, because we got a Monday Night Football game literally going on while we do the show, and we lean into it. No counter-programming here. We know the game's going on, and we know people can do two things at once. They can watch us over on Twitch, twitch.tv/JasonPage77. They could be listening to us, as I said, on any one of our SportsMap Radio affiliates or on the app. So there's all sorts of ways people are doing tons of different things on the show. I went back to the polo shirt tonight. I went back to the polo shirt. I've been doing hoodies for the last few weeks. Decided tonight I was going to class it up with the Penguin polo shirt. So we're going that route. We'll do all sorts of NFL Week 13. The college football playoff rankings are out. We got a couple of guests tonight. Bob Nightingale, who I am so thankful for, from USA Today, their national baseball writer, will join us from the winter meetings in San Diego, just down the road from where we are in Palm Springs. So we'll talk with Bob, get some thoughts with him on a few big signing stories from this Monday and what is going on with Aaron Judge. Is he coming out there tomorrow? That's the word on the street, even though I just saw him in Tampa. So it means he's hopping on a plane after the game in Tampa and going out to San Diego. Supposedly going to talk with the Giants some more. There's thought that he may talk with the Yankees. The Yankees say they have nothing planned. Yankees have supposedly made a few offers. We'll get into all of it with Bob Nightingale from USA Today. And there's a whole bunch of other free agents that are out there as well. So we'll get into that with Bob coming up a little later on. As I said, keeping tabs on the Monday Night Football game. Daryl Guru Johnson will join us from 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. We'll hear from him coming up at 8:40 p.m. Pacific. Thoughts on the Giants, the Warriors, the Niners. And that's where we get things started on this show coming up in just a couple of minutes. Week 13 in the NFL. The Niners a big part of it. That's next on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Yes, it does. Come on, that's a pro read right there. How was your weekend, Austin? That's good. Blum, 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 blum. Blum, 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 blum. So week 13 in the NFL, just about a wrap. We got one more game. It's going on right now. It is Monday Night Football. We'll get into the live betting on this game coming up in a couple of minutes. Saints lead the Patriots. Oh, my God. Saints lead the Buccaneers 10-3. What is wrong with me? And, look. It is 13-3 now, Saints on top. They got a field goal, and they have not cashed in on Buccaneers turnovers in this game, this porous Buccaneers offense. But 13-3 might as well be 23-3 the way Tom Brady and this offense are performing. And there's a lot of nights where you could sit here and try to cover it up and say, it's not really Brady. He's still got game. Tonight is one of the first nights where I've really watched a Buccaneers team led by Tom Brady in this age 45 season. And I can honestly say he doesn't look like he got anything left. I mean, very few good throws in this game from him. And granted, he's got receivers that aren't really creating a ton of separation, but the couple times they've had, he's misthrown some balls. And, you hate... I'm not going to say it's Willie Mays dropping balls in center field for the Mets at the end of his career, but it does look a bit like Patrick Ewing with the Seattle Supersonics. It looks like that, where there's a flash here and there that reminds you who he is, but all in all, it's not good. Now, look, I could say that, and he'll come and put two huge drives together in this game. That's late in the third quarter, 2:46 to go, and who knows? Maybe they'll do something. But this Buccaneers team just looks lifeless right now. Listless, not a lot of passion in what they're doing. And it's crazy because as bad as they are, and as bad as the NFC South is, this could be a playoff team. But right now, honestly, just about anybody in that division could wind up being a playoff team, which is insane to think about. Any of them could wind up in. I mean, New Orleans wins tonight. They're 5-8. Tampa Bay would be 5-7. Atlanta's still 5-8. They've lost 2 in a row. The whole division is a minus in terms of point differential. It's just awful. It's hard to believe. And I want to get into week 13. But it's hard for me to believe that a entire division can be this bad. That an entire division could look the way this division looks. This has been, at times, an unwatchable game. Andy Dalton's played pretty well. And he's had some drops and, some near misses on some touchdown throws and things like that. But Andy Dalton still looks like he can play. Quite honestly, Andy Dalton looks like a better quarterback than Tom Brady, which he should because Brady's 45. But wow. Another crazy week in the NFL is about to come to an end. And every week we try to take stock in sort of where things are. And when you look at the league after this week, things are sort of turned on their head. Anybody who's listened to this show knows I am huge on the 49ers and Cowboys. And a lot of people would say, well, there goes Page's 49ers pick because, they're now without Jimmy Garoppolo for the rest of the year, even though they got a win yesterday with Brock Purdy. So Purdy. And they're 8-4. And Seattle's just lingering a game behind them at 7-5 after a nice win yesterday. But I got to tell you, I still think San Francisco wins that division. I'm not jumping off the Niners at all with Brock Purdy or not. That team is built in such a way that you can just replace, nondescript quarterback A, which is what Jimmy Garoppolo is. You're not talking about Jimmy Garoppolo making dynamic plays with his legs or extending plays in the pocket all that much or making huge throws with a big, strong arm and our cannon. You're not talking about any of that with Jimmy Garoppolo. You're talking about a guy that makes a play here or there, and the defense does the rest. This is a team that's scored 90 more points than they've given up, 92 to be exact. They've given up 190 points through 12 games of this NFL season. And you can't do better than that. And in fact, nobody's done better than that. So to me, when you talk about this 49er team, you can plug and play with sort of a number of different quarterbacks and probably still have just as good a chances of advancing. Good game manager. You know, that kind of quarterback's going to work. And I don't know if that's Baker Mayfield or not after he was released by the Carolina Panthers earlier today. I don't know if that's Baker Mayfield. But at the end of the day, whether it's Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield, Josh Johnson, and again, any other quarterback that you want to grab off the scrap heap that could potentially lead this team, I think they can do it. Christian McCaffrey handles the ball a lot. He'll have the ball in his hands plenty. I still believe this 49er team can win. But isn't it amazing that Mr. Irrelevant, the last guy chosen in the NFL draft in 2022, a guy named Brock Purdy, who none of you had heard of, couldn't even pick him out of a lineup if he was sitting in front of you, that guy right now could be the guy, the man named Mr. Irrelevant, could be the guy that leads the 49ers to a Super Bowl? It's possible. You had Geno Smith, as I mentioned, engineering a fourth quarter comeback on the road in Los Angeles. Huge for that team if and when they make the postseason to have that sort of performance from Geno Smith, giving them the confidence that when they get into the playoffs, if they get down, they'll have that to harken back on. Everybody else in that division is done. Gone. Cowboys and Giants played to a 20-20 draw, which almost felt like a win for the Commanders, going on the road and getting that tie against a divisional opponent. And it works out all sorts of weird scenarios as it relates to the possibilities when we talk about the playoffs as we get a little deeper into this. But still, ultimately, it's a 4-team race as it relates to 3 wild card spots. It's the Cowboys, the Giants, the Commanders, and the Seahawks. That's it right now. But I tell you, all the credit in the world to Ron Rivera. There were times where it looked like this team was going to fold around him this year. The whole thing with the Carson Wentz controversy and some of the stuff he said about him basically throwing the quarterback under the bus. And credit Taylor Heineke, because he has led this franchise sort of out of the ashes and made some nice plays with his arm. Neither the Giants or Commanders played all that well on Sunday, but you take a tie on the road. And the Cowboys did what they were supposed to do. They're 9-3, did what you thought they would do against a Colts team that hung around for a while. Jeff Saturday's club was scrappy, but ultimately you knew the Cowboys were going to pull away in that game, and everybody laughed at Jason Garrett at halftime, mocking, or mocked Jason Garrett about the fact that he said that the Cowboys were going to win by 40. They damn near almost did win by 40. It wasn't very close. 54-19. He almost was right. 35. So the Cowboys pulled away late in that game. There's a whole bunch of other items to get to from Week 13 in the NFL, and we'll go through them as we go through the show. We'll do some live betting coming up on the other side. See if we can give you a live betting winner on this Saints-Buccaneers game. We went 2-2 on Page's picks this week. We won the first 2 games. We were looking good, starting to think, hey, we might be ready to go on a huge run, and then we lost the last 2 games. So we went 2-2 in Page's picks. We'll have to see how we do in Week 14. But 2-2 this week on Page's picks. There is a ton to get into from the AFC. Injury concerns in Baltimore. And I've got an interesting take as it relates to the AFC that I want to get into coming up in a few minutes as well. We'll do that too. There is a phone number if you want to talk to us here on the show. We do it every night, 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at the show as well, at The Back Page. Again, hit me up on Twitter anytime throughout the show, at The Back Page. We read them early and often. We'll let you know what's going on in that Monday Night Football game, the live betting, all of that good stuff. Stick around. Plenty more to do. Later in the hour, Bob Nightingale from USA Today, their senior national baseball writer from the winter meetings in San Diego. Find out what's going on with Aaron Judge. There is talk we could get a decision on Wednesday as to which team he is going to play potentially the rest of his career with. We know who Trey Turner's probably playing the rest of his career with. Wow. Did you see that contract? Justin Verlander signed. We got a whole bunch to get into. Stick around. We're just getting started. Glad to have you with us on a Monday edition of The Cash In. It's SportsMap Radio. Nightingale is going to be the 2-for-1, yes. Yep, and then Daryl Guru Johnson will be live. They'll both be live, but Guru will just be next hour, and that's it. Okay. What? Another minute. Don't worry, we will do the college football in the next hour of the show. I got something to say. It's like Festivus. I got a lot of gripes with you people. I got a lot of problems. The final college football playoff rankings were released yesterday morning. I can't say I agree with them. But, look, at the end of the day, if you don't do the job on the field, and you put it in the hands of a bunch of bureaucrats who get in a room together and do God knows what while they're in there trying to decide who should go into these college football playoff games, then you get what you get. And you know what? In another couple of years, we'll have 12 teams, and we'll argue about who the 13th best team is or the 12th best team is. It's going to happen every time. It happens in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and that's 68 teams. So there's always going to be this debate about who belongs there. And quite honestly, even bringing it back to the NFL, and I got to get into Deion Sanders too, who winds up in Colorado. He will be the coach of the University of Colorado. Good luck, Deion Sanders. We'll get into that coming up in the next hour of the show as well. The phone number to be involved with the program is 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. And again, you can tweet at the show at the back page. Again, hit me up on Twitter at the back page. Let's see. 13-3 Saints, and they have the football. I mean, it's hard watching Tom Brady go out like this. And I, for one, had been one of the people that thought Tom Brady could potentially play beyond this year, that he could wind up in San Francisco next year or a team like Las Vegas if they thought they could potentially make a run still. But I got to be honest, what I've seen now tonight, I mean, Tom Brady looks old. He looks old. He looks like the game, he's a half a step slow. And, it's fast twitch. It's almost like, you hear about it in video games. You got to have those fast twitch reflexes. There's a reason that, the guys playing professional video games for a living aren't 50 years old. It's because your fast twitch isn't there. And there's a reason guys aren't playing quarterback at 45. Because even though he could still make the throws, like a boxer, the last thing to go is the punch, is the power. Tom Brady could still make the throws. Hell, I think if you took Brett Favre, I know, sore subject, and brought him out onto the field, he could still make the throws, the zip. Jeff George notoriously had a strong arm up until his late 40s. But the reality is the decision-making, the ability to recognize things, while you would think that just comes naturally, there is something in the brain that allows you to make those decisions quicker. And if everybody could do it, they would, and they can't. So they don't. So I think, as much as I love the idea of, the story of Tom Brady going to San Francisco and finishing his career in the Bay Area or finishing it in Vegas to try and win another Super Bowl for Mark Davis and the Raiders, I think this is it now. Watching what I'm watching, I just can't imagine. Unless he is so stubborn and says, I want to be remembered as something other than, a Tom Brady who was the starting quarterback on a 6-win team or a 7-win team. And I got news for you. They might be lucky to get that, because if the Saints lose tonight, if the Buccaneers lose tonight and drop to 5-7, you go and look at the rest of the schedule for them. Next week, they're at the 49ers. Loss. I don't care who's starting. Loss. The following week, home against the Bengals, probably a loss. On the road at the Cardinals, not a gimme. And then they get the Panthers and at the Falcons. They might get 2 more wins this season. So you're talking about a 7-win team. Tom Brady, 7-10 in his final NFL season. Walking off the field for the last time as part of a 7-10 team. That's what you're talking about right now. And is he going to want to walk away from the game on that note? Can he? He's already proven to us how difficult it is for him to walk away from the game, let alone walk away from the game after a 7-10 season. It's going to be tough for him to do. So here's where we are right now in the Monday Night Football game. Saints are driving. They have a 3rd down on the Tampa Bay 11. And right now, Tampa Bay is plus 1,060 on the money line. If you want a fun bet right now, you believe in miracles, you can go ahead and do that. And it's Tampa Bay plus 12.5. So you figure the Saints get a field goal at worst here. Lead 16-3. Is Tampa Bay going to be able to get down the field? Get a garbage touchdown? I would probably, as crazy as this sounds, if I were to make a bet here, it would be Tampa Bay plus 12.5. Because if the Saints don't get in the end zone here, if they don't pick up this first down, I think you got to make the bet now, though. I think this is going to be your last shot. What's crazy is, how about an NFL game where the total, with 8:17 to go in the fourth quarter, the live betting total is 25.5. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I would probably take the over on it. Yeah, I'd say bang the over on the total. 25.5. Can we make that a pick? I think we could do that. Let's say 25.5 on the live betting. I'd pump that. And then Tampa Bay plus 12.5 is probably the accompanying bet that you would do alongside it, because if you believe that 25, and if you believe it's going over 25.5, you have to believe Tampa Bay is going to score again some way, somehow. Saints get a field goal. Buccaneers can get a field goal. That covers your 12.5. Worst case, you probably split the baby on this. Tampa Bay winds up winning plus 12.5, and maybe you lose the over at 25.5. So we'll see. We'll keep tabs on it and let you know. But over 25.5 is the number that I like. In Tampa Bay plus 12.5. So if you're going to do something fun with the live betting here late in the game, go and do it. Throw a couple of shekels there if you feel so inclined. So other items around the league, and listen, a team that could not afford to lose their quarterback is the Baltimore Ravens, and they're going to be without Lamar Jackson for at least this week when they take on Pittsburgh. And head coach John Harbaugh has basically said, look, he's a week-to-week decision in terms of this knee injury that he suffered yesterday. And it starts to get very dicey for Baltimore at 8-4, tied atop the division with the Bengals. I'm going to say something kind of crazy here. I think one of these 5-7 teams in the AFC winds up making the playoffs. One of these teams is going to get hot and go on a run. And you're already starting to see it. Cleveland's won 2 in a row. Deshaun Watson was hot garbage yesterday, but the team still won. Field goal is good, by the way. So 16-3 Saints. I love that plus 12.5 now. You think, because Tampa Bay with a touchdown gets you the over 25.5, and it also gets you the plus 12.5. So you just need Tampa Bay to go down and score a touchdown, which is what we kind of figured we would need. But I think one of these 5-7 teams winds up making the playoffs. We'll get into it later in the show, and we'll throw it out there to the audience and see what you guys think. I'll throw some of these 5-7 teams. There's 3 5-7 teams that I'm looking at. Well, there's 2 in the AFC that I'm looking at. And I think there could even be one potentially in the NFC, a 5-7 team that winds up sneaking into the playoffs. It's not likely, but it's possible. But I think one of these 5-7 teams is going to find their way into the postseason. 1-800-224-2004 is the phone number. We're going to come back, get into baseball. The winter meeting's going on in San Diego. Some big news from there on Monday, and their big news could be coming this week with regard to Aaron Judge. Where will the free agent slugging outfielder who last played his baseball for the New York Yankees going to wind up? I still maintain I think he winds up in New York. I think he's just enjoying the ride right now. But I think a decision on that is coming this week. Bob Nightingale from USA Today joins us in a couple of minutes to talk about all things baseball from the winter meetings on the Cash-In at SportsMap Radio. Let me know when we have a minute left in the segment, minute left in the break. Thank you. Am I talking to you? Thank you. We roll along on this Monday edition of the show. Baseball's winter meetings are underway, well underway, and there is no shortage of news coming out of there. I am so grateful that we're able to get Bob Nightingale on the show tonight, who does a terrific job with USA Today on Major League Baseball and has for so many years, who joins us and gives us some thoughts from the winter meetings in San Diego. It's Bob Nightingale. Bob, welcome to the show, and I appreciate you coming on. Let's start with the news of the day, which is obviously Trey Turner and Justin Verlander. How much surprise was there that Verlander ultimately landed in New York with the Mets? $86 million for 2 years, possibility for a third year.
It was actually expected, but just once they didn't get Jacob deGrom, it's like, they turn around and they targeted Verlander right away. Short-term deal, almost identical to the one for Max Scherzer. Difference is a third year is the best option. He's got to pitch 140 innings in a year or two. And then it's, the same exact deal that Scherzer got. So it makes a lot of sense. The Dodgers were in the mix for him, but they didn't want to give him that third year.
Is there the sense that the Mets still have more to do here? Because the way their offense finished out last season, and obviously, the pitching isn't really the problem there. Although I know DeGrom and Scherzer put up some clunkers at the very end of the season, the reality is this team's problem has been, what it does on the offensive side of the ball, particularly in the second half of the year. Is there some thought that the Mets are going to do something on the offensive side of things?
No, I'm with you, Jason. They got to. I don't think they can just stand pat like that. They got to get that offense going. The offense is very erratic. So we'll see what happens. I think they got plenty of money. So even all Verlander does is replace DeGrom. So there's no reason why they would spend some more money.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see where they go and who they decide to spend it on. Obviously, Stephen Cohen has no problem spending money. He has shown that since taking over as owner of the team. Talking with Bob Nightingale, giving us some time, does a great job, as always, with USA Today on the Major League Baseball. The Trey Turner to Philadelphia move. When Bryce Harper went down and the announcement was made he's basically going to miss the first half of this upcoming season, I thought it might have upped their interest in terms of making something splashy here in the free agent market. Did anybody think it was going to be Trey Turner?
Trey Turner's name came up late in the season. I remember talking to Dave Dombrowski. This is in August. And I said, Trey Turner would be a perfect fit for you guys. He wants to go back east. He says, yeah, we know. They had him eyed all along. And when the World Series ended, they knew they wanted to get them through their defense, somebody in the top of that lineup. So he was their number one target. If it wasn't him, it was going to be Xander Bogaerts. So it's definitely get a shortstop, and Turner was the best guy out there. They didn't have any interest in Correa, so it's either Turner or Bogaerts.
Clayton Kershaw. There's talk that he is nearing a deal, or something is in place with the Dodgers. What can you tell us?
Yeah, actually already done. He, they already say he was going to come back in another year. So yeah, 1 year, $20 million. But yeah, that deal is done.
All right, give me some thoughts on Aaron Judge. He's in Tampa tonight. They showed him at the game, watching the Buccaneers and the Saints. There's talk he's going to be out at the winter meetings on Tuesday. Yankees say they have no plans to meet with him. A decision could be coming this week. What are you hearing?
I think a decision could be coming this week. I heard the same story, and I was in Brian Cashman's suite, and they asked him about it. He was unaware of it. I reached out to Aaron Judge's people, and they said that report was false. That there's no talk right now of coming to San Diego here. So, if he was, it's like, oh man, he must be signed to the Giants. But his representative said, no, that's not true.
Is there something to be said for the fact that, are the Yankees and his team still talking? Where are things right now? I read some of your tweets on this, and I've read some other people saying the Yankees have made multiple offers. Where are the Yankees with him right now?
Yeah, Brian Cashman says they've made several, multiple offers since spring training, since the end of the season. Someone asked him, hey, does you know what it take to sign him? He didn't want to reveal what it was. Did say he didn't believe the Yankees would have a chance to match. So kind of wait and see. I almost get the impression that the Yankees have got their number in mind, 8 years between $288 million and $304 million. If the Giants want to blow them out of the water with that offer, he's going to be theirs. I don't see the Yankees, chasing that number if it's if it makes them uncomfortable.
I always thought it would wind up 8 for $320. That's always from day one, that he started to have this huge season that he had. I always thought it was going to be 8 for $320, and I still wonder if that's where the number winds up, Bob.
You may be right. I thought it was going to be 8 years at less than that. I thought, maybe around 290, because, right now for a position player, the record is Trout, $36 million a year. So I was going, okay, how about $38 million a year times 8? Then you get the 288 figure. But yeah, if they go, gets to that 40 mark, and maybe it will. The fact that Trey Turner, got an 11-year deal, obviously he's not going to be, should not be good in 11 years. You never know. But that may force the Giants to say, what, we'll give you a 9-year deal. I don't think they're getting $40 million a year. But, if you give them a 9-year deal for $37, $38 a year, it certainly gets in that ballpark that you're talking about.
Bob Nightingale of USA Today joining us on the show, talking Major League Baseball with him from the winter meetings, where the Yankees are, and everybody's basically waiting to see where Aaron Judge signs. Is there a dark horse in here? Is there you're out there at the winter meetings talking to people. Is there somebody that could jump in here at the last second? The Dodgers obviously have tons of money. Is there somebody that we're not thinking of or talking about that maybe inside some rooms out there in San Diego there's some conversation about?
Yeah, someone mentioned, how about the Rangers? Let's throw this money out. Why not do it again? I can't believe that, especially the money they've already spent. But yeah, if you want to throw a dark horse out there, maybe Texas Rangers, but I don't see it. I don't see the Dodgers either. The Dodgers may say, hey, we'll give you, $43 million a year, times 5, that sort of thing. But I don't see them jumping into the $300 million range.
Bob, there's an impasse obviously here with the Pirates and Brian Reynolds. He wants out. He's asked for a trade. The team says they're not changing their plans, so I don't know if they're planning to trade him yet. I'm sure there's some offers out there. Where do you see him landing? Will he be there come spring training?
I think he'll be there. I talked to teams even before he came out publicly and said he wanted out, and they said, hey, he's available, but the price tag remains very high. So I think teams will circle back, and, there's no reason for the Pirates to lower their costs. I mean, it's the price. If you don't want to sign a long-term extension, you go year to year with the arbitration. That's the way the game works. So I don't think the Pirates have any intention of trading him. I mean, not like he's going to hold out or anything like that. So I believe he stays at Pittsburgh. I really do.
How much of the free agent market is being held up by Judge right now? Because, I mean, I still see guys signing like a Trey Turner. I mean, how much of the rest of the market are people waiting?
I think I don't think he's holding up the market that much. I mean, he's certainly holding the market up for the Yankees. Brian Cashman said that we can't make a move without him. And, we asked him, so are you going to give a deadline? No, he wasn't going to do that either. He didn't think that that was fair to Judge. But it certainly holds up like the Yankees' free agent intentions. And, when you think about it, probably the Giants too. Like, okay, the Giants can't get Judge. Maybe they'll jump in and grab, a Carlos Correa type thing. So, but, for those two teams, but I'm not sure about anybody else just because, Judge's market is so limited because their money's been demanded.
I know the Rangers made a move. Houston goes out and gets Abreu. Gurriel is still out there. And I know the Mariners made the trade for Colton Wong. Is there any other thought in terms of the Mariners being active in a big way in free agency here?
I don't think so in the way that, the Padres were big on Trey Turner. I never saw Turner going there, but they thought they had a chance. I think they might have raised the stakes. But yeah, I would think they'd continue to be aggressive. Maybe grab another outfielder, certainly another starting pitcher. So I think they plan to be very aggressive here. Knowing that, hey, you better be because Houston Astros are so good. If you want to get back in the playoffs, and as the Mariners saw last year, you make the playoffs, you're competitive. Those fans are going to start showing up.
Go back to the DeGrom signing on Friday. What's the level of surprise out there in San Diego that he did wind up going to Texas?
People thought the Mets, and there was really no other team that jumped out that, okay, would he take a short-term deal with the Dodgers? But, remember Texas, that name came up a lot. Like, okay, they badly need pitching. Just I don't think people thought the Rangers would offer that kind of money. They thought that, okay, they'll probably sign Rodon and not him. So it was, a mild surprise. I think the only real surprise was not so much as the Texas Rangers, but the fact it was a 5-year deal for $105 million.
Switch gears for a moment to the Hall of Fame announcement last night. The Contemporary Committee, whatever it's called, the group of 16, former players and people active in baseball, writers and things like that. The decision made to put Fred McGriff in. Don Mattingly was next closest. Were you surprised at the way the vote turned out?
No, I was not. I thought McGriff was a slam dunk. I was telling him that too. If you're getting unanimous, if it's not, you get 15 votes. I thought the voting constituents, was really lined up for McGriff. No, these Hall of Fame players really don't want guys tainted with steroid suspicions. So they were never those guys, Bonds and Clemens, Palmeiro really had no chance. I still think they will one day, but it's just too quick. Particularly after writers shut them out. I thought McGriff was a slam dunk. The only other guy that I thought had a shot to get in was Kirk Schilling, and he didn't really get that close. Seven votes, he needed 12.
Do you think Mattingly ever gets in? I know he could be back up in 25. He got 8 votes this time, needed 4 more. You think Mattingly ever gets in? Because it seems like there's so much outcry for him to get in, at least amongst the fanboys and things like that. But, I mean, do you think there's ever a time where Donnie Baseball gets in?
I think he could. His career just, ended too quickly. He has some great years. It's like a Dylan Murphy. Some great years, but just not long enough. I think you look at his numbers, the Taylor comparison to a guy like Fred McGriff. So I think it's possible, but I still think it's a little bit of a long shot. And I think his name comes up so much is because he's such a a popular person, just like Dale Murphy is. That, if this guy was a jerk or something, he may not even be showing up on the ballots.
Bob Nightingale, yeoman's work. I really appreciate your time. USA Today, Major League Baseball writer out at the winter meetings in San Diego. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Take care, Jason.
Always love talking to Bob Nightingale, who joins us on the show tonight and gives us some thoughts on what has been a eventful winter meetings. And I think it ends with Aaron Judge signing somewhere. I think he's already made up his mind. I really do. I think he's decided. He might be waiting for somebody to come in and potentially make a last bid offer. And, his team and his camp might be putting that out there. Hey, if you want to go get him, make an offer now. But I think Judge has already decided, and I think he's going to wind up. I think he winds up back in New York with the Yankees. I really do. 1-800-224-2004. Hey, we've got good news if you listen to me. Both of our live bets are officially winners. Well, one of them is. The over at 25.5. That's a winner. And right now, the Buccaneers just scored a touchdown, so they trail 16-10. So the plus 12.5 on Tampa Bay also looking like a winner right now. All right, stick around. We'll come back, wrap up this hour of the cash-in next. Well, I'm at the top of the hour, so I'll have about 6 minutes to nosh on something. If the Buccaneers win this game, they should just shut down the friggin' Saints franchise. You're up 16-3 with 8 minutes left. Unbelievable. Hey. Boy, oh boy. If the Saints lose this game, just fold the franchise. Seriously. They were up 16-3 with about 8 minutes left. Might have even been less than that. Keep kicking field goals deep in the red zone. I mean, Saints just haven't been able to finish drives. Lutz, 38-yard field goal. Lutz, 21-yard field goal. Lutz, 29-yard field goal. You got to get a playmaker down there that can finish. My God. And now you've taken it out of your hands and putting it into Tom Brady's after he just drove the Buccaneers down the field 91 yards on 10 plays to make it 16-10. I mean, I'm happy we're going to win the 2 live bets we told you about, but my God. Well, it's up to the Buccaneers now. And Brady has a chance to author another signature moment in a career filled with them. 1-800-224-2004 is the phone number. 800-224-2004. Feel free to tweet at us at The Back Page. Again, on Twitter, at The Back Page. We'll see what happens in this game and tell you about it on the other side of the top of the hour. Hour number 1 of the Cash in the Books. Thanks again to Bob Nightingale for joining us from USA Today. They're fantastic national baseball writer. Daryl Guru Johnson will join us in 40 minutes. Talk about the Warriors, the Giants, the Niners, maybe his Cowboys too. Stick around. More of the Cash in to come on SportsMap Radio. Okay. You watching this game, Austin? Pretty awesome. Woo, we got a finish in Tampa. What was a snoozer of a football game set up for a wild finish. First and goal, Buccaneers. They trail 16-10. First and goal on the Saints 5. Unreal. Oh, my God. Brady threw a touchdown. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Are you kidding me? What a finish. Wow. There's a flag, though. Oh, who's the flag? Oh, it's on the Buccaneers. Oh, you can't get a flag there. Holding on the Buccaneers. It's coming back. Brady threw a touchdown strike in the end zone, and it comes back. Oh. Oh. What a throw he made, too. Oh. Take the points off the board. Still time, though. Got a second and goal now from the 15. And they have to burn a timeout here after a short completion. So he's going to have a couple more plays to try and get it in the end zone. Oh, I mean, Brady, it was one of those Brady moments. We were all ready to go crazy. Wow. What a football game. Anyway, we are winners on our 2 live bets, the over 25.5 and the Buccaneers plus 12.5. So congratulations if you listened to me, and if you didn't, poo-poo on you. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004 is the phone number. Hit me up on Twitter at The Back Page. Tampa Bay's got a timeout to use here. They've got 8 seconds left on the clock and a 4th down play coming up. We'll see what happens. We'll let you know about it on the other side. We'll have post-game from this one. Daryl Guru Johnson will join us coming up in about 32 minutes to talk a whole slew of items from the Bay Area and beyond. Stick around. I'm Jason Page. The cashing continues on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Wild Monday Night Football game coming to a conclusion. We'll let you know what happens. Stay tuned. Unreal. It's just insane. How you can look so bad for 3.5 quarters. I'll tell you, I don't know how the Buccaneers are going to win this game. Unreal. You see, every time you think you've seen it all. I mean, the Buccaneers were left for dead at 16-3 in this game at about, let's see, how much time was left? Yeah, it was midway. It was 8:02. There was 8:02 left in the fourth quarter when Will Lutz hit a 29-yard field goal. And the Buccaneers lead 17-16. Tom Brady engineers a game-winning drive, 11 plays, 63 yards in 2 minutes and 26 seconds. The Buccaneers put up 14 in the final, 5 minutes of this game? 5.5 minutes of this game? Just remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. And they're going to come away with an improbable victory that really sets them up now at 6-6. It's hard to imagine them not winning the division. And the rest of the NFC is going, damn, man. Because you're rooting for if there's any team you don't want to see in the playoffs, it's the Buccaneers because of Brady. And I mean, he looked so bad for 3.5 quarters tonight. He looked terrible for 3.5 quarters tonight. And at the end of the game, it's him with a victory. Unbelievable. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, a victory over the Saints, 17-16. And that is as bad a loss as a franchise can have. Seriously. I mean, the Saints, you cannot have a worse loss than the one they just had. You do everything right for 3.5 quarters, except score touchdowns when you're in the red zone. They didn't score a single touchdown in the red zone tonight. Their only touchdown was Andy Dalton to Taysom Hill for 30 yards. They were not in the red zone. Every other red zone appearance that resulted in points resulted in field goals. And you can't win football games that way. You just can't. Amazing. At their peak, the Saints were a 97.6% favorite to win this game with 3:23 to go in the fourth quarter, and they lose. I mean, that's just remarkable. We've seen a couple of games like that this year. Even at the worst case scenario. I mean, even as this game started to sort of unfold and get away from them late, they were still an 80.2% favorite with 16 seconds left in the fourth quarter when the Buccaneers got hit with the 10-yard holding penalty. And that's when it's when it pays dividends to have a guy like Tom Brady. A lot of teams, that holding call would have spelt doom. And Brady figured out, just able to make enough plays down the stretch and get a win. Boy, 5-7 looks a lot different than 6-6. And the Buccaneers win 17-16. Remember when they were down, I think it was 10-3 or 16-3, and I said they were plus 1,060 if you're looking for value? It's another example of you threw a $10 wager on them, you would have won $100. And again, you know, it only has to hit once out of every 10 times in order for you to win in that spot. We hit on our 2 live bets as well, so congratulations to us. I don't think anybody thought in their right mind it would end that way, but it did. 17-16 Tampa Bay over New Orleans. We'll have complete post-game as we go through this hour and the next hour of the show. But the Buccaneers season very much alive and still kicking. And, man, as long as Tom Brady's got air in his lungs, he's going to figure out a way to keep fighting, and that's just what he did tonight. 45-year-old Tom Brady tonight. 54 throws. He was 36 of 54. But it just goes to show you, they're all little dump downs and check downs and all this stuff because they don't have a lot of options deep. Brady, 36 of 54 for 281 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Boy, not for nothing. Why not? I know they had the headache with Antonio Brown, but why not Odell Beckham Jr. to the Buccaneers? I will say until the cows come home, I don't think Odell Beckham Jr. makes sense with the 49ers for chemistry reasons and the fact that the team doesn't need him to win. They put up a 50-burger on Tennessee last night. They don't need Odell Beckham. Scoring points is not an enormous problem for the Dallas Cowboys. So I don't know why you're going to screw with your team chemistry and bring in Odell Beckham Jr. That notwithstanding. Goes to the Giants. Obviously, he would help that offense and that receiving core. But a chance to win with Tom Brady and what could be Brady's final year, be sort of the receiving savior down there in Tampa Bay. I don't have any information that tells me they're in the mix for him, but, I mean, they won tonight. Their leading rusher was Leonard Fournette, 10 carries, 49 yards. And they won with that tonight. Amazing. Here's how it sounded on ESPN a short time ago. Take a listen.
It's third down. Underneath, and touchdown, Rachaad White. Tie game with the extra point to come.
Amazing.
Flag on the play. Extra point is good, but a flag.
So there you go. 17-16. What a win. Courtesy of ESPN. Joe Buck on the call. And Brady just seeing the field. And again, we talked about it. He looked a step slow tonight. He looked like his decision-making process was, that little bit of a timing thing off. Boy, if there's anything that could rejuvenate that team, though, it's that kind of win. In a spot where they are dead to rights. I mean, they got 49 yards rushing from Leonard Fournette tonight. I mean, how do you win a football game with that kind of disparity between what your passing game is doing and what your running game is doing? All right, second hour of the show is very much underway. Hello to our listeners just tuning in, wherever you are listening from. We appreciate it tonight. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. And again, you can tweet at the show as well all the time. Hit us up at The Back Page. Again, on Twitter, at The Back Page. The Mavericks a winner tonight. They beat the Suns 130-111. So for our friends listening on 97.1 The Freak in Dallas, good to have you aboard tonight. What did Luka do against Devin Booker tonight? That was a matchup everybody was kind of excited about. Booker only had 11 on 4 of 13 shooting. Was not his night. Was in some foul trouble in that game. And Luka, just doing Luka things. 33 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. But the story of the night has to be Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. A miraculous comeback trailing 16-3 midway through the fourth quarter. Even past the midway point of the fourth quarter. They come from behind and rally, score 14 in the final 7 minutes of the game to beat the Saints 17-16. And again, Brady threw it 54 times tonight. Completed 36 passes for 281 yards. I mean, Tampa Bay wins despite the fact that they turned it over twice. Everything about this box score should say that the Saints won, except the final score. It's remarkable. It's absolutely nuts. Neither team could run it. Buccaneers ran it for 76 yards total. The Saints ran it for 66. Tampa Bay's got to figure out a way to get the running game going. And I don't know what that is. But they need some help in the running game desperately. You cannot have Brady having to win each and every game with his arm. And look, the reality is that the schedule for Tampa Bay still does not match up well. You'd like to think that this kind of wraps up the division for them. They're 2 games clear now on the loss side of Atlanta, and they owe the tiebreaker having won the first matchup. They will play them again. And I still say this team's in trouble next week when it plays the 49ers in Santa Clara. And then they got the Bengals. So, I mean, you're probably talking about a 6-8 team. But again, if they win 8 games, they're going to win the division. They can go 8-9 and win the division. They win 9 games, they're a lock. But 8 games probably wins this division at this point. What a wild win. Man, what a wild win. I had planned to talk about all sorts of other stuff. I thought this game would be a wrap with where we were just before the end of the first hour of the show. And I don't know where it ranks, and I'm not going to get all hyperbolic. Oh, greatest comeback of Tom Brady. But I think they said only one time in his illustrious career had Tom Brady come back from 13 down in the fourth quarter to win a game. So just authoring another chapter in what is an amazing story. I can't wait to see what he has to say post-game. We'll hear later in this hour from Daryl Guru Johnson, who does a terrific job, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. He's also a big 49ers fan, even though he lives in the Bay Area. We'll get some thoughts with him on the Niners, the Jimmy Garoppolo injury, Brock Purdy in at quarterback now. What is the team going to do at that position? The Warriors are starting to play better, much improved upon the way they started the season. They play tonight. Warriors in action tonight. No, it looks like Golden State had the night off. The Giants in the chase for Aaron Judge. Barry Bonds not getting into the Hall of Fame. We'll get into all of it. Daryl Guru Johnson will join us coming up about 16 minutes from now on the show. You'll want to listen to that. He is always entertaining. My former colleague at 95.7 The Game, that fantastic FM sports radio station up in the Bay Area. So stick around for that. Much more as we continue. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Hey, for the podcast, There are not many people I miss working with over the 28 years that I've been in this business. I could take it or leave it with most of them. But this guy is one that I really miss working with. I would kill. I would literally kill. I would give like my left foot, not my right because I need that one. But I would give my left foot to still work with this guy if I had the chance. You hear me, Matt Nahagian? Daryl Guru Johnson, 95.7 The Game. He does middays with Matt Steinmetz. They talk about all the Warriors and Niners and Giants and all that stuff. And he gives us some time tonight on the show. I got to ask you about your Cowboys, but I want to start in the Bay Area with the Brock Purdy news. Is the thought there? What's the fan base's reaction to this? Are they like, hey, man, let's ride with Brock Purdy? Or are they saying go get Baker Mayfield? What's the fan base saying?
That talk is more the Baker Mayfield talk, and I think that's more he's just become, I don't want to say trash, but he's become a joke. But to me, that's the move and call I would make if I were Lynch and Shanahan. But the calls today was just the continuance of disrespect for Jimmy Garoppolo because they think Brock Purdy can pick up and do what Jimmy did during his tenure as a Niner quarterback, and I'm rooting for the kid. But he was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason, Jason. The last guy picked in the draft. No shade, but I honestly thought the Niners are better than the Cowboys and Eagles in the playoffs if I had to put my life on the line. With Jimmy's shortcomings, they got a formula. But now with Brock Purdy, we're waiting to see what he's going to do. But I still feel like, you know what? The football god said Niners not this year. I can be wrong, but Jason, how can you defy the odds in every stat during the inception of the NFL that this rookie quarterback's going to step in and lead them to a Super Bowl?
Well, look, here's the thing. If you believe, like I do, that this is sort of a plug-and-play offense, that you can plug in a quarterback that's just enough of a game manager that's not going to turn the football over, get it to McCaffrey, get it to your playmakers, your Debos and all these guys. If you believe that this offense, that you can just plug any average quarterback in, because that's what a lot of people think of Jimmy Garoppolo. They just think of him as an average quarterback, fairly or unfairly. That's what they think of him. So if you believe that, then why can't you win with Brock Purdy or Josh Johnson or whoever the hell else they want to throw in there?
Because it's more complex and nuanced than that. And that's why I cite Kyle's record without Jimmy. 9-29. Now, you could be working with, he didn't have much. But that's right, Jay, towards Jimmy. The guy, for whatever reason, and he's average at best, he runs that system. And to be honest, he doesn't call the plays. He got you to a Super Bowl where you had a lead with 5 minutes left, up 10, and the coach, Kyle and the genius, He blew that. Then the same thing last year in the NFC Championship game. Last play of the third quarter, Jimmy hits Kittle for a touchdown. You're up 10. So I'm not going to sit here and I don't believe, Jay, that Jimmy is just chicken liver. What he does, I can't put my finger on it, but it's when a majority of the starts running this offense and tell me, oh, anytime Dick and Harry can come do it. Nah, I just feel like that offense is going to suffer to the point of you'll win some games, you'll get in the off, but you can't win it now, Jay. You just can't.
We'll find out. Talking with Daryl Guru Johnson, does a great job, 95.7 The Game, giving us some time today, talking about everything going on in San Francisco. Let me stick with the football before I get to the Warriors and the Giants and Aaron Judge and all this stuff. Give me a thought on your Cowboys right now, who I said along with the 49ers were my favorite to come out of the NFC. I'm still not buying Philadelphia. I still got to see Jalen Hurts do it in the postseason. I was big on San Francisco, big on Dallas. Give me your thoughts on the Cowboys. I don't want them to add Odell Beckham Jr. Am I nuts? I don't think they need him. And I think he can only disrupt.
Listen,
I think he's going to be a disruptor there.
Okay, you're wrong. And let me tell you, when you say they don't need him, there's one guy that needs him. And I'm African-American. I'm a black man, Jason. And I know the plight of the black quarterback in the history of the NFL. I'll start with Warren Moon. You know where I'm going. So when I'm down on a quarterback that happens to be of black descent, you got to really be bad at your job. And I watch Dakota Prescott night in, night out. I fall asleep to the games, get a life. And I know this dude can't read it. They are going nowhere, Jay. And yesterday they're up 2, and then I've never seen anything like it. Even on a game of Madden, you scored 33 in the fourth because Indy gave it to you. The D's good, it's not great. It's nowhere near the Niner D. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the tight end in the flats. I've seen it. I saw the Giants on Thanksgiving, and I saw Indianapolis with old man Matt Ryan go into the fourth quarter down 2. With that said, no disrespect, Jay, they are not going to get it done because Dak is throwing interceptions now left and right, and for whatever reason, you ran Amari off. I don't know if that was your call, but he doesn't have that outlet, and outside of CeeDee Lamb, Jay, nobody's getting open, and Odell, who somebody please tell me if he's going to play and how he came back this fast, but that gives another option, room to chuck. Because right now, if you think you're just going to Dalton Schultz and I'll hit CD here and there, Dallas is not going to the Super Bowl. And I'm blown away. Red Peel today, 30% Dallas was picked to go to the Super Bowl over the Eagles. Explain that to me.
I'm not a believer in Philadelphia. Boy, you're down on them. I'm surprised. I didn't think you'd be this down on your Cowboys.
Why are you not a believer in Philly?
I got to see Jalen Hurts do it in the postseason.
Okay.
I still got to see it.
But what about Dak? He's got 1 win in 6 years, Jay, in the postseason.
I don't disagree.
And lost to Garoppolo at home last year.
I want to see. I'm anxious to see this second matchup between the Eagles and Cowboys. I think we'll learn a lot in that game. I really do.
Okay.
I think we'll learn a lot in that game. All right, go back to the Bay Area here for a second. I had Bob Nightingale on earlier in the show talking about this Aaron Judge situation. Do you feel like the Giants have done everything they can possibly do to get him?
You know what, Jason? Yes, I have. And it again, Farhan, you got copies for closers. You look at the Padres, they're littered with stars, the Dodgers. And you had the anomaly season a couple years ago with 107. Jason, this is not a want. This is a need. And I honestly believe, and he said it a couple weeks ago, Farhan, money won't be the reason they don't get him. So if the reports are true and it's 8 for 300, offer him 380, 390, Jay. That's how big this is to me and the fan base here in San Francisco. The Giants are a born team. They need Judge. Overpaid.
I've said, Daryl, I've said this all along. 8 for 320 gets it done. You make him give him $40 million.
So?
Oh my God. If you do 8 for 320, I think it's done. because I don't think anybody else is going. I don't think anybody else is going there, and that's why I'm curious to see if in the final hour, because I'm shocked he hasn't made a decision yet because he knows the deals that are out there.
Wow.
The only thing that I'm curious to see is, do the Dodgers come in at the last second and say, we're going to pay you, we're going to give you 9 or 10 years? You just saw Trey Turner at 29 get an 11-year deal.
And I just saw a tweet speaking to that about keep your eye on the Dodgers. I go, good Lord.
And Bob Nightingale said as well, he said, keep an eye on the Rangers.
That better, yeah.
The Rangers are spending money like drunken sailors right now. They don't have a problem opening up the checkbook. They just gave all that money to DeGrom. You saw what they gave Seager last year. You saw what they gave Marcus Semien, John Gray. I mean, they're not afraid to spend money. So I wouldn't be shocked if they went out and tried to open up the checkbook too.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw the HBO Max documentary on Willie Mays. But it was just a reminder, Jay, of the rich history of sluggers in San Francisco. Barry, who didn't get in, that's a whole nother story. Willie Mays, Kevin. I mean, all these boppers. But we're talking about 2 teams in your division. There's stars everywhere in San Diego and L.A. You got to start with Judge. So I just hope from that standpoint they get it done. But we'll see if you're right. If you think 8 for 320, which I thought sounds like baseball welfare, like you almost got to get to 400, but that's interesting. We'll keep an eye on that to see what it'll take to get them done. How are you going to leave New York, Jay?
Yeah, I think the Yankees. Yeah, I don't think he's leaving because of that. I think I think he wants to win in New York. I still have always maintained that I think when push comes to shove, he winds up back in New York. I think this whole thing has been a bit of a listen. I think this whole thing has been a bit of a charade. I think he knew damn well he was going back to New York. You only get this process once in your life. Think about it. You only get this process once in your life in baseball a lot of times. He's not going to get the chance to be a free agent at the peak of his career as the prized star in the game in this offseason. You only get that shot once. So to me, I think he's just milking it. I think he's enjoying every second. I think he's enjoying every second of it, him and his team, and they're going to wait and see if any last-second offers come in, and then by the end of this week, I think we're going to hear that he's going back to the Yankees.
You know what, Jason? I'm not mad at that, but this just has Albert Pujols' contract all over. Judge is not 24, 25. He's 30. And what's he going to be batting 221 in year 5 or 6, hitting 15 homers? Hey, no shade, but it's like, they haven't learned from doing these long deals, especially for a guy that's 30 years old. Incredible. No,
teams will pay. Teams will pay it on the back end if it means being able to win a World Series or 2 on the front end. We see it all the time. Daryl Guru Johnson joining us, 95.7 The Game. Does a terrific job in middays there. Guy I used to work with when I was up there in the Bay Area. Bonds got 4 votes or less by this contemporary committee. Were you surprised?
I was surprised, and I got to be honest, I wasn't familiar with this vote, so when I first heard it, I thought it was implemented for trying to right their wrongs, and it's just sad, and I hate it, and it's, Fred McGriff, he deserved it, great ball player, but I'm just talking about that whole steroid era. That's a part of baseball. Everybody was dirty. You got managers that oversaw stuff that are in the Hall of Fame. You got a commissioner, Bud Selig, that happened on his watch. He's in the Hall. And again, I don't want to sound like a homer. Barry Lamar Bonds is the best baseball player I've ever seen, Jay, before Royds, going in Pittsburgh. But it's just sad that he won't have that day. And I know a lot of people say he's a cheat. But David Ortiz, now that he's in the Good Old Boy Network and he's on TV, you telling me he wasn't in the Mitchell Report or dirty? That's just it just boils my blood. And I get mad at the sport I love, Jay.
I say put them all in. That's always been my take. Put them all in. I think everybody in the era. It's the Hall of Fame. People are smart. People are smart enough to know what they saw with their own eyes, and let them go. Let them go to the Hall of Fame. You don't need to put any asterisks or anything on the plaque that says this person may have used PEDs. I think they all belong in. Before I let you go, Warriors are playing better. I think the second unit is a big part of the reason why.
No doubt. And, Gary Payton Jr., he left, and a lot of people were calling it wasn't basketball, still the euphoria and residue of the championship. I was like, no big deal. It was a big deal. And now they had to, get these young guys up and running. Now you got Dante DiVincenzo, Jermichael Green. It's starting to come into focus. I don't know how far they can go, but when you have Steph Curry, Jay, you're in it. Clay's looking like him old self. They're struggling tonight against the Pacers. No Andrew Wiggins, but we'll see if they can pull it out. But before you let me go, Jay, I got to tell you how international you are. I'm from Union City, California. Slow Monday night. My boy says, can you hop on? Bad signal, I'm there. My guy Marvin, my childhood friends in Hawaii, sent me a text. Hey, I just heard you're coming on to Jason Pacer. I said, you're international, baby. So shout out to my boy Marvin for listening to us right now.
We got an affiliate in Hawaii. I know we're on there. Guru, always good to talk to you, my friend. Stay hi, say hi to Matt Steinmetz and all the guys over there at 95.7 The Game. Good to talk to you.
I'll do so. We'll talk soon, man. Have a good night.
Love Guru. We'll come back, wrap up the hour next. Hey, I'm in the break. Thank you, dude. All right, getting set to put the wraps on hour number 2. What a wild night. You heard Guru reference the Golden State Warriors tonight at home against the Pacers, end of 3, Indiana 89, Golden State 81. We went 2-0 in our live picks. Thank you very much. In that 49ers game. Buccaneers game. Sorry. Buccaneers and Saints. We gave you 2 picks. Over 25.5. And Tampa Bay plus 12.5. Both of those coming in as winners. Thank you very much. 2-2 on Paige's picks over the weekend for the NFL. I have not addressed the USA soccer loss against the Netherlands. We'll get back to that 4 years from now. I mean, what is there to say? Netherlands is a better team. They're a more mature team. It was fun while it lasted, and we'll see you in 4 years, soccer. I'm such a jerk. I know. Thanks to Guru Johnson for joining us. I love that man. He is so good at what he does. We're coming back with another hour of the cash-in post-game reaction from the Buccaneers and Saints. Whole bunch more to do. Stick around. SportsMap Radio. It's funny that his friend in Hawaii was listening. That's pretty wild. You never know where people are listening. It's funny. When I used to do overnights on NBC, for NBC, I used to have some regular listeners in Hawaii. It's pretty cool. Yep. Thank you. Final hour of a Monday edition of the show / Tuesday. Good to have you with us. Across the country, SportsMap Radio, even in Hawaii, as we just found out, and worldwide on the SportsMap Radio app. After a wild Week 13 in the NFL, I haven't even had a chance to get into the college football playoff rankings yet. I don't know if I'll be doing it justice here in this final hour, but we got to spend a couple minutes on it. Story of the night has to be the Buccaneers win, coming from 16-3 down with about 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They win 17-16 in about as improbable a fashion as you could imagine. Tom Brady authoring just another chapter in an amazing career in prime time. And you know, you think about, we always make fun of Kirk Cousins for being the guy that can't perform in prime time. I mean, Tom Brady is the anti-Kirk Cousins. Oh, man. What a win. Amazing stuff. Been a busy show so far. Dale Guru Johnson joined us. Our 2-for-1 tonight is Bob Nightingale. We're talking baseball winter meetings with him. That comes your way about 33 minutes from now on the show. Get some thoughts with him on what was a very interesting day around Major League Baseball as it relates to free agency. There is still another enormous shoe to drop in Aaron Judge. A lot of other good players still available via free agency. Wow. Gisele Bündchen enjoying her new life, her new single life. She got a new man. I was just looking at some stuff on Twitter. Twitter is it really is a cesspool. It is, but it's where it's where I have my most followers, so it's the audience we talk to, but you can get all of these things are just rabbit holes. You go to look for one thing and 30 minutes later, you haven't even looked at what you plan to look at. Happens all the time. We're going to hear from Tom Brady and Todd Bowles coming up in just a minute. Post game. We do it every Monday and Thursday here after the primetime football game. Stick around. It's coming up on the Cash In. Stay tuned. Connor? Pizza sounds good. Craving pizza. And I'm not even craving like good pizza. I'm just craving like Little Caesars, like that real bootleg kind of pizza. You got a favorite pizza chain? It's funny. I've seen commercials for them. There aren't any around us, though. I've never had Marco's. So is it you and me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week? Okay, yeah. And then I have Brian Thursday and Friday. Story of the night, Tom Brady, the Buccaneers, rallying from 16-3 down to beat the New Orleans Saints, the Aints, 17-16. Good to have you with us on this Monday. As always, we got you covered for post-game. What are they saying after a emotional win for this Buccaneers team? Tom Brady took to the podium a short time ago. Here's what he had to say.
Just like we drew it up. Just like we drew it up.
Tom, can you talk about that last play to Rashad? Were you trying to get him in for that particular play? What did you see on that matchup?
Yeah, it was great. Great route by Rashad. Great catch. Byron made a great call. So it was, we thought we threw the touchdown. I didn't see the one we hit to Chris, and then I thought I threw it in about a quarter of a second. I was like, I told her, how's there a hole? I caught it and threw it. And they put us back on, I think, the 15, and then still found a way. So it was a, great team win.
After the heartbreak of last week, how did it feel to kind of have a role reversal this week?
Yeah, it was good. It's just, we had a lot of games come down to the end, and some we've won, some we've lost, which is why we're 6-6. So not where we want to be, but we'll keep fighting.
You guys have had a lot of success down the stretch, 2-minute drive. What's the difference there for your offense as you guys were able to conduct that game-winning drive as you did tonight and you guys did against the Rams a few weeks ago?
Yeah, we've been pretty good in the, no-huddle 2-minute drills. And, a lot of games come down to those types of plays. Our guys made them. At the end of the day, our guys made the plays this week. And Mike made plays, Chris made plays, Cade made plays, Rashad made plays, Lenny made plays, Julio made some great plays. Everyone contributed. So it's a hard team to beat, and just glad we won. It was they got a great defense. They played us very physical like we thought. We made some mistakes in there, but we made enough plays in the end to win.
This is the first time you beat the Saints at home, also scored a touchdown against the Saints at home. What does that mean to the team?
Yeah, it's the truth. I'm glad we won. I was going to say it's an insult, but it's really not an insult. It's the absolute truth. I wish we could score more points against them. They make it really hard. They got a really good scheme. They've got good players. They cover you well. They rush well. Really good linebackers. Just tough game, but a great win.
Todd Bowles said that was Rashad's play kind of all week, the one that you scored the last touchdown on. Were you calling? Like at one point, it sounded like you were yelling 29, or were you calling for that play?
He does a good job on that. So it's just we worked on with him quite a bit, and just Lenny's been in there a lot, doing an unbelievable job. I think we have two great backs, so we'll keep using them both. And who's ever in there, I got confidence in. And Lenny, I love Lenny. Nobody loves Lenny more than me. Probably his mother, a few of his family members, but I'm probably right up there. And Rashad's doing a great job. So.
Tom, end of the game aside, earlier in the game, and it seems like a common trend, first down runs, just predictability behind that. Do you feel like when you're in those situations that teams are loading the box more, kind of know what's coming, and how do you adapt from that going forward?
Yeah, we just got to do, look, we got to find a formula that allows us to score more points more consistently, and I know we're still searching through it, and we've had a lot of guys in and out, and we're trying to find some good formulas, and we got to, we're going to keep grinding.
That last month there, it looked like you guys, the offense, wanted to stay out on the field naturally. What was the dialogue like with the coaching staff, when they ultimately brought the punt team out?
There wasn't at first we were going to go for it and then, just decide to punt it. So ultimately it was a great decision by Todd to punt it, and, we don't get it. They kick a field goal. We need two touchdowns, two two-point conversions, which is very tough. But our defense really stepped up and played great. They played amazing all year, kept us in the game, and allowed us to, get the ball back there with a chance to win with 2 minutes left. So that's all you can ask. So, all right, that's it. Good night. Thank you, guys.
Tom Brady said, "I'm done. That's it," and he's earned it. He threw it 54 times, put some ice on that shoulder, and got a few days to recover, and then try to get ready for San Francisco, where they will be a decided underdog, but not as big an underdog as you would think. Actually, I will sort of pull back the statement I just made, because I thought they would be a bigger underdog than we just saw. And I just looked, and the odds are 3.5. Tampa Bay plus 3.5, which seems awful low. Games in San Francisco. I don't know why I'm shocked. There's been some weird lines in the NFL this year. I'd put this one right up there with them. I get that there's questions about what Brock Purdy is capable of doing, but he looked pretty darn good in the win this weekend. I'm kind of surprised. I thought that line would be bigger, given the problems this Tampa Bay team has had scoring, and we know the Buccaneers have had issues scoring, and the 49ers defense has been so good. I don't know how anybody could expect. I mean, they've given up 190 points through, and that's not even just their defense giving up 190 points, because I think Garoppolo's had a pick 6 or 2 and a safety once or twice, that sort of thing. So, I mean, that defense on average is giving up like 15 or 16 points a game. It's stupid how good they've been. Yet, no respect for the Niners at home, I guess. Well, I mean, look, they're starting a guy whose nickname is Mr. Irrelevant. So, I guess to some degree I have to understand. But Brock Purdy coming in for Jimmy Garoppolo on Sunday basically played the entire game. 25 of 37, 210, 2 touchdowns and an interception. I mean, it's hard to argue with that. And by the way, what we've glossed over in that San Francisco win over Miami is they shut down one of the best offenses in the league to the tune of 17 points. And Tua Tagovailoa, who has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league when it comes to completion percentage, was just 18 of 33 for 295, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He was uncomfortable all day, and Miami couldn't run the football at all. So you already know Tampa Bay is going to be completely one-dimensional in that game against San Francisco next week. I mean, you could start Brock Lesnar quarterback for San Francisco, let alone Brock Purdy, and I think they're going to probably win that game. Have to wait and see. 1-800-224-2004. 800-224-2004. Hit me up on Twitter as well. At the back page. Again, on Twitter. At the back page. How about the Pacers tonight? The only game that remains, Indiana and Golden State. Pacers leading 109-102 in the minute 49 to go in that game. It's impressive. I'm not going to lie. The Warriors have their full complement of players out there tonight. Well, no Andrew Wiggins. I guess Wiggins is sitting or hurt tonight. Klay Thompson, 28. Curry's only got 12 on 3 of 14 shooting. Warriors just not shooting it well tonight at all. Only 41.1% from the field. But the bench is starting to play better, and we talked about that with Daryl Guru Johnson before. This team is starting to play better from a bench standpoint, and if they get that bench going, Warriors are going to be really good again. I don't care what their record is, 13-11, all that stuff. You can talk about that all you want. If the Warriors get production out of their bench, they're going to be just fine. So later in the hour, we'll be joined by Bob Nightingale. He's our 2-for-1 tonight. We'll get some thoughts from him on the baseball winter meetings. No new news to report tonight. The reporting is that Aaron Judge was supposed to go out there on Tuesday. Now we're hearing that is not true, that Judge will not be traveling to San Diego for the winter meetings. I don't know what any of it means as far as whether or not he's made a decision or when an announcement's going to come. A lot of people thought we would know by the end of the winter meetings what was going on with Judge. I'm curious if the Dodgers are going to jump into the fray late. Bob Nightingale, who will join us later in the hour, brought up a very interesting team as a possible destination for Judge, a team that could jump in at the last second. This stuff happens all the time. You get teams that'll just wait until the last second and then say, all right, that's the top offer. We're going to go way above and beyond that. It happens all the time in baseball. And there is some thought as to who that team could be still. We're still waiting on Odell Beckham Jr., who's visiting with a number of teams this week. Speaking of free agents, the most coveted free agent in football right now is probably OBJ. And the Giants, Bills, and Cowboys, all potential destinations for the talented free agent wide receiver. So we'll wait to see what happens there as well. Boy, Pacers are going to win tonight in Golden State. That's a heck of a win. Pacers 111, Warriors 102 with a minute left at Chase Center, where the Warriors have been as close to unbeatable as you can get. They were 11-1 coming into tonight in games at home. They're going to lose tonight. So, heck of a performance by the Pacers, who have a couple of crazy wins on this West Coast trip. The win over the Lakers last week at the buzzer, game the Lakers basically led the entire way. And now this one in Golden State against the Warriors. All right, stick around. We got plenty more to do in this hour. I will address the college football playoff rankings on the other side. I think there's been a great injustice. I'll address it as we continue the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. All right. Glad to have you with us. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Find me on Twitter at The Back Page. Get on Twitter at The Back Page. Boy, how much fun was, basically conference championship weekend in the world of college football. It's probably a lot more fun if you were a fan of Kansas State than it was TCU, and then TCU fans basically had to sweat it out. Well, here's what it sounded like. Kansas State beating TCU this weekend.
Good snap and placement. Kick on the way. It is up. And good! It's good! The Wildcats are champions of the Big 12 in 2022. They stun 12-0 TCU and win it in overtime 31-28.
It was a hell of a game. I don't have a problem with TCU. Staying in the college football playoff. Their one losses in the conference championship game. Kansas State isn't a bad team. I think they're ranked 10th. And that's an extra game that TCU had to play that teams outside the top four didn't have to play. Where I have an issue is Ohio State getting in ahead of Alabama. And I said this last week on the show, and I will say it again. Ohio State, if they were to play Alabama right now on a neutral field, would be an underdog. They would. Alabama's a better football team. And for the guy who does who's the spokesperson for the college football playoff committee, whose name escapes me, but I was watching him be interviewed by Reese Davis on Sunday morning, to sit there and say that the Ohio State resume is better than the Alabama resume is just asinine to me. It does not make sense. And anybody who knows me knows first of all, I don't really have a dog in the fight when it comes to college football. I'm not a huge college football fan. But I know what's going on in the sport. Obviously, I have to do what I do for a living. But anybody who knows me knows I'm no Alabama fan if I was rooting for college football teams. But Alabama, to me, got screwed. They had 5 games, I think, against top 25 teams on the road. They lose 2 of them by a combined 4 points. The 2 losses basically on the final play of a game. I mean, it just does not make sense to me how this team is not in the college football playoff. Now, I get it. You put yourself in that position when you lose 2 games and you leave it in the hands of a bunch of bureaucrats sitting in a room who have to, who get the luxury of deciding who gets in. But and I know, Alabama and Georgia is a much better game than Ohio State and Georgia. Ohio State's not winning that game. And look, they're relying on people like me saying that to motivate this team, and they're going to play the underdog role, but they're not going into Atlanta and winning that game. That is not going to happen. I don't know if there's early odds. There probably is early odds on it. Let me see if I can find them. What are the early odds on the let's see, we got to go all the way to December 31st here. Let's see. So, there we go. So TCU right now is plus 7.5 against Michigan. I'll take that 7.5, by the way, all day. TCU does nothing but play close games. So I would take TCU plus 7.5 right now. And Ohio State is plus 6.5 in Atlanta at the, whatever they call it, Mercedes-Benz Stadium or whatever it's called, against Georgia. So Ohio State plus 6.5, TCU plus 7.5, the 2 lines on those games. And Ohio State, Georgia, they're expecting 61.5 is the total. They're expecting a lot of points in that game, one way or another. But sign me up for that game. I'm looking forward to the college football playoff, only to see if Ohio State can hang with Georgia. I think TCU and Michigan will be a really good game. I don't care what the line says. After watching that kid for TCU, Max Duggan, do what he did late in that game against Kansas State, basically single-handedly driving them down the field for a game-tying score before his head coach decided in overtime to not put the ball in the best player's hands on a 4th down play. Just idiotic. You got a 4th and 1. You got a 3rd and 1. You got a 3rd and goal from the 1. Just inside the 1. You hand it off. Then you do the same on 4th down. When you have easily the best player on your team standing there watching all of this happen. How does Max Duggan not have the ball in his hand in that spot late in the game? I'm sitting in bed watching it because it's early here on the West Coast. I'm sitting in my bed after watching the U.S. get dismantled by the Netherlands 3-1 in the World Cup. So I'm already in a bad mood. And then I watch this kid play his heart out. And you make the decision on, I mean, it was almost like, it was harken back to Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl. How are you not putting the ball in your best player's hands? I mean, you got Marshawn Lynch if you're Pete Carroll and you don't give the ball to him in that spot. And Sonny Dykes says, you know what? Max Duggan? Nah. We'll give it to our running back instead. Just absolutely mind-blowing. And there was a part of me sitting there going, you know what? You don't deserve to go into the playoff when you make play calls that bad. That team should have finished the season undefeated. They should have gotten into the end zone in that spot. You get a stop, and the conversation is, it probably doesn't change much. They're probably 3rd regardless of whether they win or lose that game. But, man, oh man, felt like they really screwed up the play calling late in that game. And Michigan, hey, they did what they were supposed to do. They beat Purdue. Finished the season undefeated. Isn't it remarkable, though, for all the talk about how great of a coach Jim Harbaugh is, he's not even the best coach in his own family. I mean, John Harbaugh's got Super Bowls. And we talk about, it's just remarkable. I mean, John Harbaugh is an amazing head coach, and all anybody wants to talk about is Jim Harbaugh, where he's going, where he's not going. I didn't get to talk about Deion Sanders today. I'll get into the Deion stuff tomorrow. He's going to Colorado. I think there's a good side and a bad side to it. Obviously, there's so much excitement around Coach Prime right now. You know, there's a reality when you start talking, you know, it's one thing to coach at Jackson State. It's another when you start going into the Pac-12 and you start talking about the big conference footballs, the big boys. You know, the expectations at Jackson State were nothing like what he's going to face at Colorado in the Pac-12 from a recruiting standpoint, what he has to compete with. But I do think he has a chance, and I'll explain why on the show tomorrow. And who knows what we'll have to report tomorrow as it relates to baseball free agency, because everything is quickly evolving. But it seems like right now, everything else that's going to happen is sort of dependent on Aaron Judge. You know, what the Yankees do in free agency depends on whether or not they have Aaron Judge. What the San Francisco Giants do in the rest of free agency depends on what happens with Aaron Judge. Dodgers can say the same thing. I mean, there's a whole bunch of teams right now that are waiting to make moves because they want to see what's left after Aaron Judge. So we'll talk with Bob Nightingale coming up here in a few minutes, get some thoughts with the fantastic reporter from USA Today, their national baseball writer in San Diego at the winter meetings. Stick around for that. Lots more to do as we continue on this Monday edition of The Cash In. I'm Jason Page. Glad to have you with us on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. All right, I got this on my end. Roll along on this Monday edition of the show. Baseball's winter meetings are underway, well underway, and there is no shortage of news coming out of there. I am so grateful that we're able to get Bob Nightingale on the show tonight, who does a terrific job with USA Today on Major League Baseball and has for so many years, who joined Roll along on this Monday edition of the show. Roll along on this Monday edition of the show. Baseball's winter meetings are underway, well underway, and there is no shortage of news coming out of there. I am so grateful that we're able to get Bob Nightingale on the show tonight, who does a terrific job with USA Today on Major League Baseball and has for so many years, who joins us and gives us some thoughts from the winter meetings in San Diego. It's Bob Nightingale. Bob, welcome to the show, and I appreciate you coming on. Let's start with the news of the day, which is obviously Trey Turner and Justin Verlander. How much surprise was there that Verlander ultimately landed in New York with the Mets? $86 million for 2 years, possibility for a third year.
It was actually expected, but typically once they didn't get Jacob deGrom, it's like, they turn around and they targeted Verlander right away. Short-term deal, almost identical to the one for Max Scherzer. Difference is a third year is the best option. He's got to pitch 140 innings in a year or two. And then it's, the same exact deal that Scherzer got. So it makes a lot of sense. The Dodgers were in the mix for him, but they didn't want to give him that third year.
Is there the sense that the Mets still have more to do here? Because the way their offense finished out last season, and obviously, the pitching isn't really the problem there. Although I know DeGrom and Scherzer put up some clunkers at the very end of the season, the reality is this team's problem has been, what it does on the offensive side of the ball, particularly in the second half of the year. Is there some thought that the Mets are going to do something on the offensive side of things?
No, I'm with you, Jason. They got to. I don't think they can just stand pat like that. They got to get that offense going. The offense is very erratic. So we'll see what happens. I think they got plenty of money. So even all Verlander does is replace DeGrom. So there's no reason why they would spend some more money.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see where they go and who they decide to spend it on. Obviously, Stephen Cohen has no problem spending money. He has shown that since taking over as owner of the team. Talking with Bob Nightingale, giving us some time, does a great job, as always, with USA Today on the Major League Baseball. The Trey Turner to Philadelphia move. When Bryce Harper went down, and the announcement was made he's basically going to miss the first half of this upcoming season, I thought it might have upped their interest in terms of making something splashy here in the free agent market. Did anybody think it was going to be Trey Turner?
Trey Turner's name came up late in the season. I remember talking to Dave Dombrowski, this is in August, and I said, Trey Turner would be a perfect fit for you guys. He wants to go back east. He says, yeah, we know. They had him eyed all along. And when the World Series ended, they knew they wanted to get them through their defense. Somebody in the top of that lineup. So he was our number one target. It wasn't him. It was going to be Xander Bogaerts. So it's definitely get a shortstop, and Turner was the best guy out there. They didn't have any interest in Correa, so it was either Turner or Bogaerts.
Clayton Kershaw. There's talk that he is nearing a deal, or something is in place with the Dodgers. What can you tell us?
Yeah, actually already done. He, they already say he was going to come back in our year. So, 1 year, $20 million. But, that deal is done.
All right. Give me some thoughts on Aaron Judge. He's in Tampa tonight. They showed him at the game, watching the Buccaneers and the Saints. There's talk he's going to be out at the winter meetings on Tuesday. Yankees say they have no plans to meet with him. A decision could be coming this week. What are you hearing?
I think a decision could be coming this week. I heard the same story. And I was in Brian Cashman's suite, and they asked him about it. He was unaware of it. I reached out to Aaron Judge's people, and they said that report was false. That there's no talk right now of coming to San Diego here. So, if he was, it's like, oh man, he must be signed to the Giants. But his representative said, no, that's not true.
Is there something to be said for the fact that, are the Yankees and his team still talking? Where are things right now? I read some of your tweets on this, and I've read some other people saying the Yankees have made multiple offers. Where are the Yankees with him right now?
Yeah, Brian Cashman says they've made several, multiple offers since spring training, since the end of the season. Someone asked him, "Hey, does you know what it take to sign him?" He didn't want to reveal what it was. Did say he didn't believe the Yankees would have a chance to match. So kind of wait and see. I almost get the impression that the Yankees have got their number in mind. 8 years between $288 million and $304 million. If the Giants want to blow them out of the water with that offer, he's going to be theirs. I don't see the Yankees, chasing that number if it's if it makes them uncomfortable.
I always thought it would wind up 8 for $320. That's always from day one. That he started to have this huge season that he had. I always thought it was going to be 8 for $320, and I still wonder if that's where the number winds up, Bob.
You may be right. I thought it was going to be 8 years at less than that. I thought, maybe around 290. Because right now for a position player, the record is Trout, $36 million a year. So I was going, okay, how about $38 million a year times 8? Then you get the 288 figure. But yeah, if they go, gets to that 40 mark, and maybe it will. The fact that Trey Turner, got an 11-year deal, obviously he's not going to should not be good at 11 years. You never know. But that may force the Giants to say, what, we'll give you a 9-year deal. I don't think they're getting $40 million a year, but if you give them a 9-year deal for 37, 38 a year, it certainly gets in that ballpark that you're talking about.
Bob Nightingale of USA Today joining us on the show, talking Major League Baseball with him from the winter meetings, where the Yankees are, and everybody's basically waiting to see where Aaron Judge signs. Is there a dark horse in here? Is there you're out there at the winter meetings talking to people. Is there somebody that could jump in here at the last second? The Dodgers obviously have tons of money. Is there somebody that we're not thinking of or talking about that maybe inside some rooms out there in San Diego there's some conversation about?
Yeah, someone mentioned, how about the Rangers? Let's throw this money out. Why not do it again? I can't believe that, especially the money they've already spent. But yeah, if you want to throw a dark horse out there, maybe Texas Rangers. But I don't see it. I don't see the Dodgers either. The Dodgers may say, "Hey, we'll give you, $43 million a year, times 5, that sort of thing." But I don't see them jumping into the $300 million range.
Bob, there's an impasse obviously here with the Pirates and Brian Reynolds. He wants out. He's asked for a trade. The team says they're not changing their plans, so I don't know if they're planning to trade him yet. I'm sure there's some offers out there. Where do you see him landing? Will he be there come spring training?
I think he'll be there. I talked to teams even before he came out publicly and said he wanted out. And they said, hey, he's available, but the price tag remains very high. So I think teams will circle back. And, there's no reason for the Pirates to lower their costs. It's the price. If you don't want to sign a long-term extension, you go year to year with the arbitration. That's the way the game works. So I don't think the Pirates have any intention of trading him. Not like he's going to hold out or anything like that. So I believe he stays at Pittsburgh. I really do.
How much of the free agent market is being held up by Judge right now? Because, I still see guys signing like a Trey Turner. How much of the rest of the market are people waiting?
I think I don't think he's holding up the market that much. He's certainly holding the market up for the Yankees. Brian Cashman said that. We can't make a move without him. And, we asked him, so are you going to give a deadline? No, he wasn't going to do that either. He didn't think that that was fair to Judge. But it certainly holds up like the Yankees' free agent intentions. And, when you think about it, probably the Giants too. Like, okay, the Giants can't get Judge. Maybe they'll jump in and grab, a Carlos Correa type thing. So, but, for those two teams, but I'm not sure about anybody else just because, Judge's market is so limited because their money's in demand.
I know the Rangers made a move. Houston goes out and gets Abreu. Gurriel is still out there. And I know the Mariners made the trade for Colton Wong. Is there any other thought in terms of the Mariners being active in a big way in free agency here?
I don't think so in the way that, the Padres were big on Trey Turner. I never saw Turner going there, but they thought they had a chance. I think they might have raised the stakes. But yeah, I would think they'd continue to be aggressive. Maybe grab another outfielder. certainly another starting pitcher. So I think they plan to be very aggressive here, knowing that, hey, you better be because Houston Astros are so good. If you want to get back in the playoffs, and as the Mariners saw last year, you make the playoffs, you're competitive. Those fans are going to start showing up.
Go back to the DeGrom signing on Friday. What's the level of surprise out there in San Diego that he did wind up going to Texas?
People thought the Mets, and there was really no other team that jumped out that, okay, would he take a short-term deal with the Dodgers? But remember, Texas that name came up a lot. Like, okay, they badly need pitching. Just I don't think people thought the Rangers would offer that kind of money. They thought that, okay, they'll probably sign Rodon in Nottingham. So it was, a mild surprise. I think the only real surprise was not so much as the Texas Rangers, but the fact it was a 5-year deal for $105 million.
Switch gears for a moment to the Hall of Fame announcement last night. The Contemporary Committee, whatever it's called, the group of 16, former players and people active in baseball, writers and things like that. The decision made to put Fred McGriff in. Don Mattingly was next closest. Were you surprised at the way the vote turned out?
No, I was not. I thought McGriff was a slam dunk. And I was telling him that too. If you're getting unanimous, if it's not, you get 15 votes. I thought the voting constituents, was really lined up for McGriff. No, these Hall of Fame players really don't want guys tainted with steroid suspicions. So they were never those guys, Bonds and Clemens, Palmeiro, really had no chance. I still think they will one day, but it's just too quick. Particularly after writers shut them out. I thought McGriff was a slam dunk. The only other guy that I thought had a shot to get in was Kirk Schilling, and he didn't really get that close. Seven votes, he needed 12.
Do you think Mattingly ever gets in? I know he could be back up in 25. He got 8 votes this time, needed 4 more. You think Mattingly ever gets in? Because it seems like there's so much outcry for him to get in, at least amongst the fanboys and things like that. But, do you think there's ever a time where Donnie Baseball gets in?
I think he could. His career just, ended too quickly. He had some great years. It's like a Dylan Murphy. Some great years, but just not long enough. I think you look at his numbers, the Taylor comparison to a guy like Fred McGriff. So I think it's possible, but I still think it's a little bit of a long shot. And I think his name comes up so much just because he's such a popular person, just like Dylan Murphy is. That if this guy was a jerk or something, he may not even be showing up on the ballots.
Bob Nightingale, yeoman's work. I really appreciate your time. USA Today, Major League Baseball writer out at the winter meetings in San Diego. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Take care, Jason.
Always love talking to Bob Nightingale, who joins us on the show tonight and gives us some thoughts on what has been a eventful winter meetings. And I think it ends with Aaron Judge signing somewhere. I think he's already made up his mind. I really do. I think he's decided. He might be waiting for somebody to come in and potentially make a last bid offer. And, his team and his camp might be putting that out there. Hey, if you want to go get him, make an offer now. But I think Judge has already decided, and I think he's going to wind up. I think he winds up back in New York with the Yankees. I really do. 1-800-224-2004. Hey, we've got good news if you listen to me. Both of our live bets are officially winners. Well, one of them is. The over at 25.5. That's a winner. Thanks for being with us tonight. Been a fun show. Bob Nightingale joined us from USA Today. Thanks to him at the winter meetings. Fortunate to be able to get him on such a busy time in the baseball calendar. Not sure what we're going to do for a guest tomorrow yet. I haven't decided. Hoping to have Stan Van Gundy on this week, the former NBA head coach, now a analyst over on TNT. Get some thoughts with him on everything going on around the NBA. I didn't even talk about Trae Young. Mondays is so football dominated and so NFL dominated that we basically run out of time for a lot of the other things we want to get into. So tomorrow we'll get into Dion. We'll get into the Trae Young stuff. I'm sure there'll be some NFL news, and I'm sure we'll have something happen in baseball that has us all talking. I feel bad that Don Mattingly did not get into the Hall of Fame, by the way. You heard me talk about that with Bob. I think Don Mattingly's a Hall of Famer. I mean, they've got Bill Mazeroski and Phil Rizzuto are in the Hall of Fame as players, for crying out loud. Don Mattingly belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I do think one day, whether it's the Veterans Committee or whatever, Don Mattingly's going to get in the Hall of Fame one day. I just hope he's alive when he does. As for Schilling, Clemens, Bonds, Palmeiro, all those guys, good luck. It's going to wrap it up for our show tonight. Thanks to Daryl Guru Johnson as well from 95.7 The Game. Good job, Austin Rodriguez, producing and engineering it in Houston. I'm Jason Page. We'll catch you back here on Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Cash-In on SportsMap Radio. Bye! All right, Austin, you know what to do for the podcast? Thank you, my friend. Have a good night. We'll talk tomorrow. Bye-bye. All righty. For those of you on the video side, that wraps it up for us tonight. Thank you for watching. I will see you back here on Tuesday. Hope you all had a great weekend. I'll see you back here on Tuesday. Yeah, that's it. Have a good night.